Matthew chapter 2, verses 1 through 12. Now when Jesus was born in the Bethlehem of Judea, in the new days of Herod the king, behold, wise men from the east came to Jerusalem, saying, Where is he? Who has he been born king of the Jews? For we have seen the star in the east. We have come to worship him. When Herod the king heard this, he was troubled, and all Jerusalem with him. And assembling the chief priests and the scribes, all of the people, he inquired of them when the Christ was to be born. They told him, In Bethlehem of Judah, for so it was written by the prophet. And you, O Bethlehem, in the land of Judah, are by no means least among the rulers of Judah, for whom you shall come a ruler, whom will govern my people of Israel. Then Herod summoned the wise men. Secretly they ascertained from them what time the star appeared, and he had searched generally for the child. And when you have found him, bring him to me. Word that I have too many come to worship him. When they had heard the king, they went to their way, and lo, the star which they had seen in the east went before them, till it came to rest over the place where the child was. When they saw the star, they rejoiced exceedingly with great joy. And going into the house where they saw the child and Mary, his mother, and they fell down and worshipped him. Then opening their treasures, they offered him gifts, gold, frankincense, and myrrh. And being warned in a dream not to return to Herod, they departed to their own country by another way.
Remember the words that Addie just shared from the Gospel of Matthew about the arrival of the wise men. And hear also these prophetic words from the Old Testament, which speak to what Addie just read, kind of came before. In Isaiah 60, verses 1 through 4, the prophet Isaiah wrote to the people who were in exile. They had been removed from their home country, and Isaiah was trying to offer them comfort, and he prophesied. He saw God's vision for the people, and he said to them, Arise, shine, for your light has come, and the glory of the Lord has risen upon you. For darkness shall cover the earth, and thick darkness the people. But the Lord will arise upon you, and his glory will appear over you. And nations shall come to your light, and kings will come to the brightness of your dawn. What Isaiah is telling the people, which is a prophecy that's confirmed in our Matthew passage, is we are to lift up our eyes and look around and see God in our midst. Isaiah is giving a promise of hope to people who have been defeated, who've been in exile, who have been removed from their home and forced to pay homage to other kings. That this is what had happened to God's people, to the Hebrew people. They've been allowed to go to the promised land. They had established their new homes there. They had prospered. But then they were taken captive and removed to another place where they were supposed to worship those gods. They were told to let go of their faith and worship the faith of the gods of this new place. So the people were desperately feeling lost and alone, abandoned, and wondering, God, when are we going to get to go home? When are you going to make this right? And so these 3 men from the Far East come and see this child and know in their hearts, they have an epiphany, an aha moment, that this is the child that God is going to use to transform the world. This is God's Son. And Isaiah's words of prophecy took on new meaning. There was clarity. People saw with new eyes. Arise, shine, for your light has come, and the glory of the Lord has risen upon you. Maybe that's the greatest gift, or one of the greatest gifts that the Magi offered, was hope to all of us, to God's people and to all of us. The presence of the Magi, the commitment they made to follow that star to Bethlehem, reminded the Jewish people of long-held promises and invited them to see the world in new ways. And don't we all need that in our world when sometimes we feel so overwhelmed by the things we have to deal with? God invites us to see the world in new ways and to know that God's light is always shining with us. The world was broken into by God through the gift of the Christ child, and the Magi realized this. They knew that somehow this child was different. Maybe they had stopped, their journey might have been as long as 2 years, and maybe they had stopped wherever the star stopped, and maybe they wondered, well, is this what we're looking for? And they just kept traveling. And then, when they got to Bethlehem, they realized this is what we're looking for. Our journey is now finished. We have learned what this star has been guiding us to. This is God breaking into the world. This is God becoming one of us. Now, what if the Magi, when they had gotten to Bethlehem, had said, well, the star looks interesting, but it's not a good time, for me. I got to get back. I don't know if this is really important. I mean, it's just this little family, kind of poor. I don't know if this is going to amount to much. I'm out of here. What if they had left and not taken their journey and that light, that star, seriously? But we are to arise and shine because our light has come. The Magi took it seriously, and we are to take that news seriously also. We can't just sit around waiting for things to change and waiting for things to happen. The darkness of winter and the cold of winter right now reminds us of this. We can't just sit around and wait for it to get warm again. We have to be agents of change in the world. I know all of us hate that violence plagues our world, and we don't know what we can do to stop it. And I know all of us are worried about loved ones who are dealing with cancer or illness or disease or addiction or mental illness or not being able to pay their bills or their rent. But what can we do in the face of that? What difference can we make if we see and follow that star? Well, we can arise and shine We can lift up our eyes and follow the star and pay attention to what God is trying to show us and what God is calling us to do in the world. I love that Epiphany is right at the time of the new year. To have an epiphany, a spiritual awakening at the start of a new year, that's a good thing. Epiphany reminds us to be open to seeing things differently, to be open to looking at things in a new way. So I want you to think about this week, as you take your star gift word home, what are the epiphanies in our lives, big and small, that God is showing us? What do we need to pay attention to? What have we maybe been overlooking and not noticing that God is saying, wake up, pay attention, this is where you can be light. And I want us to be more attentive to what are the signatures of God's presence with us. I think we kind of get complacent and like ho-hum, and we don't pay attention to where God is at work in the world. And maybe being open to the way Jesus followed God in terms of vulnerability and humility and grace, and walking with outsiders, and doing things in a way that nobody expected, and turning the world upside down. Maybe that's where we recognize God. God came to an ordinary, humble family and was recognized by wise men who weren't even Jewish. They were Gentiles. They were from the Far East. But they knew that this was the one who was going to transform the world. So maybe we can be open to seeing things in a way that is totally unexpected. The wise men sought the light of the star, and then they went back to their country and they testified to that light. And that's what God calls us to do. Amen.